Investment portfolio concerns. That's the topic we're talking about this time on the Professional Edge. My name's Sean Todd, tax attorney and CPA. Host here on the Professional Edge for going on 5.5 years. Can you believe that already? So with the recent volatility in the stock market, I figured this was going to be pretty apropos on timing. So investment portfolio concerns. Well, what is the real risk? Well, the real risk is that you don't understand all the real risks. Number one, what have you actually done within your portfolio to protect your principal? Well, if you're holding all mutual funds and you don't have any stop losses or any other principal protection positions in place, or strategies, well, then your portfolio is subject to any market risk in volatility. So that's probably not the most prudent way to move forward. The other thing we do at estate management counselors is we align your tax, your estate, and your investment advice. So therefore, we're making sure that your portfolio is tax efficient. We're nearing April 15th, and you got your 1099s from your investment portfolio. You may have some capital gains distribution, and you're paying tax on money you're not spending. You may have dividends through your brokerage account, and those two are also just accumulating inside the account, so you're paying tax on money you're not spending. That doesn't make sense to me. So if that is the case, we might need a very candid conversation. So we look at and make sure that your principal is protected. How is that? Well, on the estate side, how is your principal protected? Well, if we hold the investments in the decedent's estate, well, then we get a new step up in basis to fair market value date of death. The recipient, the beneficiary, then receives that account, and they have a new basis, fair market value date of death, and they can diversify that portfolio. Now, this strategy of protecting that principal is a very good strategy. Unfortunately, the trigger event is death. But if there is a concentrated position, let's say you bought Coca-Cola, Aflac, or Home Depot 20 years ago, you haven't sold it, there is a large realized gain within that position. And you don't really want to diversify it because A, there is going to be a very, very large capital gains tax, and you might not need that to support yourself in retirement. You want to leave that to the next generation or to your spouse. So therefore, we want to position that in the one spouse who is likely to pass away first, which we don't know that guaranteed, but if one is ailing from health concerns, then we might want to move that over. Being a tax attorney, a CPA, we can do that. We do estate planning, and it's more than just drafting a will. This is putting some other attributes onto your principal protection. So we move that over to the sickly spouse, and yes, it's planning, it's investment portfolio concerns that the surviving spouse is going to be well taken care of. And let's say that one position in the stock portfolio represents 90% of their investment portfolio. I've seen that before. So they can't really afford to sell and diversify properly because of the large capital gains exposure. So let's move it over to the one spouse's account. And then when they pass away, we get a step up in basis, fair market value date of death, goes back to the surviving spouse. Surviving spouse has a new basis. We can sell that concentrated stock position and pay zero capital gains tax. Now, that's where working with a tax attorney, a CPA, and a certified financial planner, we put all those together for our clients at estate management counselors. Now, if you're not getting that level of coordinated advice, then my advice would be to pick up the phone to get that advice. You would be surprised how many individuals don't get this level of coordinated advice. And no, you don't have to have $10 million of investable assets to work with us. That's the whole thing, because individuals that have less money need to make sure that they make the right decisions because they can't afford to make things up. A person with $10 million, yeah, they can lose $1 million on mistakes and they're still going to be fine. The person that has $2 million, if they lose $1 million, that's jeopardy. So again, to have that conversation, do give our office a call at 404-250-9798. That number again, 404-250-9798. The other thing offering our individual listeners here on the Professional Edge is emcthebundle.com. That is Echo Mary Charlie, thebundle.com. That's basically an offer to our listeners here. You got to mention it when you call in. It is putting your estate plan, coordinating that with your tax plan, and also your investment portfolio. A great offer for our clients, tremendous value. My personal opinion, it's probably 1/3 the cost of combining these three things with three uncoordinated professional offices. So take advantage of that. That is emcthebundle.com. So on to investment portfolio concerns. Let's say you are that client that is retired. You have a pretty substantial portfolio. Let's say you have 2 commas in that portfolio, meaning it's over $1 million. Let's have a combination. We've seen them have CDs. Obviously, they have some CDs that they bought when there was 5.25%. And then they have some other fixed money in some fixed annuities. They like those contracts because they pay a little bit more than CDs because it's not FDIC insured. It's based on the claims paying ability of the insurance company. So that is the safe money. That principle is protected. Then we may say, okay, what other strategy within the investment portfolio do we have that locks in that principle or puts a stop loss in on that? They may have a large concentration in a stock, let's call it Home Depot, and they say, all right, if it drops to $350 a share, I need some money off the table. I want to protect some of those gains that I have in that. So within an IRA, we can do that, place that in, and if it sells out, guess what? There is no capital gains tax transaction. Now, if it's in an after-tax account, then we need to be cognizant of the tax exposure if that loss is triggered. So that's another thing. We put the pencil down on the paper and we make that calculation. And if the client is okay with that, to be able to protect that principal, remember the 2 rules, protect the principal. Number 2, don't forget the first rule. So that's another way that we analyze that, because when you're that retiree, return of your principal becomes more important than the return on your principal. Let me say that one more time. The return of your principal becomes more important than the return on your principal. Because if you lose 50% of your investment portfolio and you say, wait a minute, hang on, that doesn't happen. Well, it did. From 07 to 09, the market went down by greater than 50%. Also, a little bit quicker in time, when COVID hit, in 1 month, the market went down by 30% in 1 month. Yes, it was like a free falling stone. Now, you can't panic. You got to have your own strategy and be okay with a drop of that level, because you know you have your safe money, in our example, the CDs, the fixed annuities, to fund your monthly spend. So those are things there. So what do you need to do? You need to have a coordinated approach on your investment portfolio concerns. So who's going to receive this investment portfolio when you pass away? Okay, it's going to be your spouse. That's awesome. If you have been the investment decision maker the entire time, then who is your spouse going to turn to get investment counsel and advice? Well, I would probably establish that relationship now so you understand who she is going to be working with going forward. And yeah, you may be in your mid to late 70s. may not be as sharp. That's okay. It's time to hand that baton off to somebody that does this on a regular, consistent basis, works as a fiduciary, has a fiduciary duty to act in your best interest, and has these tools available to you to put in place when they make the most financial sense for your investment portfolio. So that's all I'm here for, is as host here on the Professional Edge, is bringing these things to light on what you as a listener on the Professional Edge need to consider going forward. Who's giving you this counsel and advice? Hopefully it's not just these YouTube videos and things like that. It is a very candid conversation, a one-on-one, analyzing what you have, how is that coordinated with your estate plan, and also what tax strategies have you done or have you missed from doing because your CPA is, completing your tax return, but there's no real strategy on tax reduction being implemented whatsoever. So again, as a offer to the listeners here on the Professional Edge, go to emcthebundle.com. That is Echo Mary Charlie, thebundle.com, and check out that offer there. It's pretty lucrative for you as a listener on the Professional Edge. And yeah, why do I discount the price? Because I want you to take action and get these things in force, in place. And that way you have peace of mind that your portfolio is going to be protected. That's number one. Number two, that your loved ones that you leave behind are going to have a smooth process in administration of your estate. And then three, I don't want you to pay the IRS more than you're legally obligated to. There is no rule, no law that says you can't utilize the tax code to your benefit. So again, having the three credentials as a tax attorney, a CPA, and a certified financial planner, we bring this to bear on your investment portfolio, your estate plan, and your tax plan. Pretty unique combination. So as that conservative retiree, you've been listening to me for 3-4 years. You haven't really adjusted your portfolio in the last 3 or 4 years. Well, guess what? On that, you're probably going to ask yourself, I'm okay. Well, maybe not. When was the last time you objectively looked at your portfolio and identified what risks are within that portfolio? Ask yourself, what tools do I have, or what tools have I implemented to protect my portfolio principal from downside risk? Ask yourself that question. What have you put in place to protect yourself from downside risk? If the answer is nothing, that's the impetus to give our office a call, 404-250-9798. That number again, 404-250-9798. Appreciate you listening to the Professional Edge. Be sure to check out our podcast called Professional Edge. My name's Sean Todd, tax attorney, CPA, certified financial planner.
With today's financial markets, are you getting the personal and professional attention you and your money deserve? Clients of estate management counselors benefit from having one set of professionals advise them on their tax, estate planning, and investment advice. We call that the Professional Edge. Sean Todd is a tax attorney, CPA, and certified financial planner. With over 15 years' experience, he welcomes the opportunity to assist you in preparing for retirement, implement effective tax planning strategies, and to help you properly plan your estate. His radio show, The Professional Edge, is aired weekly on Sundays at 9 a.m. If you're interested in meeting with Sean, call his office at 877-654-9798. That's 877-654-9798. Do you want to feel more confident about making the right investment, tax, and estate planning decisions? Today, these decisions are more complex than ever. Have you thought about working with a professional advisor and not sure who to turn to? Not sure what qualifies one to be an advisor? Sean Todd is more than qualified as a tax attorney, CPA, and certified financial planner. Sean is with Estate Management Counselors. Estate Management Counselors operates as an independent fee-only investment advisory firm. They're dedicated to gaining a personal understanding of their clients' objectives and implementing professional counsel and advice to achieve those objectives. So take a second to talk with Scene Todd to learn how you can benefit from their multidisciplinary practice where they coordinate their clients' legal, tax, and investment strategies into one comprehensive and integrated plan to enhance and protect their clients' financial security. You can reach estate management counselors and speak with Scene Todd by calling 1-877-654-9798. That's 1-877-654-9798.